Hello and welcome back to English Echo. This is part 4 and the final chapter of our story, The Man Who Started With Nothing. In part 3, Daniel took the biggest risk of his life. He left his comfort zone. He moved to a new city. He faced self-doubt. And despite many challenges, he achieved one of the top results in his training program. But today, we discover what happened next. Did his hard work finally pay off? Did his dream become reality? Let's find out. A few weeks after the training program ended, Daniel returned home. Everything looked familiar. The same roads, the same houses, the same neighborhood. But something had changed. Daniel had changed. He was no longer the uncertain young man who constantly doubted himself. He had learned something powerful. Growth happens when we challenge ourselves. One evening, Daniel sat with his parents at the dinner table. For years, they had struggled. For years, they had sacrificed. For years, they had hoped for a better future. As they talked and laughed together, Daniel felt grateful. No matter what happened next, he knew one thing. He would never forget where he came from. Several days later, Daniel received a phone call. A call he would never forget. The company connected to the training program wanted to speak.
The company offered him a position, a real opportunity, a career opportunity. The kind of opportunity he had dreamed about for years. When the call ended, Daniel sat quietly. He couldn't believe it. All the struggles, all the sacrifices, all the failures, all the late nights, all the hard work had finally led to this moment. For a few seconds, he simply stared at the wall. Then he smiled. A genuine smile. Not because life would suddenly become easy, but because he finally saw proof that persistence works. That evening, Daniel shared the news with his parents. His mother cried tears of joy. His father smiled proudly. Neither of them spoke for a moment, because sometimes happiness is too powerful for words. Daniel remembered all the years when his parents worried about money. He remembered the leaking roof, the difficult winters, the sacrifices they made, the opportunities they never had. And he promised himself something. He would use this opportunity wisely, not only for himself, but for the people who believed in him.
Daniel started his new job a few weeks later. The first day felt exciting, but also intimidating. Everything was new. New responsibilities, new expectations, new challenges. But unlike the younger Daniel, he no longer feared challenges, because challenges had become part of his growth. At work, Daniel continued doing what had always helped him succeed. He arrived early, he learned constantly, he listened carefully, he asked questions, and most importantly, he stayed humble. Months passed, then a year, then another. Slowly, Daniel built a successful career. People respected him, not because he was perfect, but because he was dependable, because he worked hard, because he kept his promises, because he never stopped improving. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. A young employee approached him. The young man looked nervous. Daniel recognized the feeling immediately. Years earlier, he had looked exactly the same.
The young employee asked, "Can I ask you something?" Daniel smiled. "Of course." The young man hesitated. Then he asked, "How did you become successful?" Daniel thought carefully before answering. Then he said, "It didn't happen overnight. It happened one day at a time." The young employee listened closely. Daniel continued,
I failed. I was rejected. I doubted myself. I felt afraid. But I kept moving forward. Then Daniel shared one final lesson, a lesson he had learned through years of struggle. He said, "The secret isn't being the smartest person in the room. The secret is refusing to quit." The young employee nodded, and Daniel could see something change in his eyes. Hope. The same hope Daniel once received from books, from his parents, from mentors. Now he was passing that hope to someone else. And that, perhaps, was the greatest success of all. Not money, not status, not recognition, but the ability to inspire another person. Years later, Daniel visited his childhood home. The small house still stood there. The roof had been repaired. The neighborhood looked different, but the memories remained. He stood quietly outside, thinking about his journey, thinking about the boy who once believed success was impossible, thinking about every challenge he overcame, every lesson he learned, every person who helped him. Then he smiled, because he finally understood something. Success was never the destination. Growth was. The person he became during the journey mattered more than the destination itself. And now, before we end today's story, I want to ask you a question. What dream are you carrying right now? What goal have you postponed? What opportunity have you avoided because of fear? Maybe you're learning English. Maybe you're starting a business. Maybe you're changing careers. Maybe you're chasing a personal dream. Whatever it is, remember this. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need perfect confidence. You do not need perfect timing. You only need the courage to take the next step. Every successful person started somewhere. Every expert was once a beginner. Every achievement began as an idea. And every journey started with a single step. Daniel's story is not special because he became successful. It is special because he refused to quit. Again and again and again, until things finally changed. So if you're facing challenges today, keep going. If you're feeling discouraged, keep going. If progress feels slow, keep going. Because small steps, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for listening to all 4 parts of The Man Who Started With Nothing. I hope this story helped you improve your English. I hope it inspired you. And most importantly, I hope it reminded you that your future is still being written. This is English Echo. Keep listening, keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing in yourself. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.